I wasn't invited to Thanksgiving this year. So I invited everyone else to my $6 million estate. We're keeping Thanksgiving small this year, honey. Mom's text glowed on my screen. Just having your sister's family over. Hope you understand. Love you. I stared at those words for what felt like forever. Then I typed back, have a good time. They had no idea I owned a $6 million estate in Montana. I invited everyone else instead. When they saw our Thanksgiving photos, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. Let me back up. My name is Morgan, and I'm 33 years old. I used to run a tech startup, splitting my time between Seattle and the mountains. I thought I had life figured out until that November morning when Mom decided I wasn't worth including in our family holiday. See, I'd spent my entire existence playing second fiddle to my older sister, Courtney. She was everything our parents dreamed of: homecoming queen, honor society president, dating the quarterback. The golden child who could do no wrong. I remember being 13, bursting through the front door with a blue ribbon from the state science fair. My project on quantum computing had beaten out kids 2 grades older than me. I was so excited I could barely breathe. Mom glanced up from her phone for maybe 3 seconds. That's nice, sweetie. Then she turned to Dad, her voice suddenly animated. Did you hear? Courtney made captain of the dance team. As a junior. The coach said she's the most talented dancer they've had in a decade. Dad practically leaped out of his chair. We need to celebrate. I'll make reservations at Giuseppe's. I went upstairs and pinned that blue ribbon to my corkboard. Nobody ever mentioned it again. 2 years later, I spent an entire week teaching myself advanced coding. I built this program that could organize our family's digital photos by facial recognition and location data. I was 15 and I'd figured out something most adults couldn't do. I showed Dad, thinking he'd finally see what I could accomplish. He looked at my laptop screen for maybe 5 seconds. That's great, Morgan. Then his phone buzzed. Oh wow, Courtney just got asked to prom by the mayor's son. We need to go dress shopping this weekend. My moment evaporated like it had never existed. The worst part? When I got accepted to Stanford for computer science with a full scholarship, my parents barely reacted. I told them at dinner, my whole body shaking with excitement. Stanford. Full ride. Computer science program ranked number 1 in the country. Mom set down her fork slowly. That's quite far from home. Dad nodded, cutting his steak. Well, if that's what you want to study. He shrugged. I suppose it's fine. That was it. No congratulations. No celebration. No pride in their voices. Courtney didn't even look up from her phone. Cool, she mumbled, her thumbs flying across the screen. 3 days later, Courtney mentioned she might try out for a local theater production. My parents threw her a good luck party with 30 people. They rented out a private room at a restaurant. There were balloons. College was the loneliest time of my life. I moved to Palo Alto, dove into my classes, and my parents called maybe twice a month. They were always busy with something Courtney-related, her sorority events, her internship, her new apartment. During my junior year, Courtney married Derek, a lawyer from a prominent family. The wedding had 10 bridesmaids. 10 women in matching sage green dresses walking down that aisle. I wasn't one of them. Courtney chose her sorority sisters, her college roommates, Derek's 2 sisters, even his cousin. But not me. Her actual sister. At the reception, I ended up helping the catering staff in the back. Through the kitchen doors, I could see Courtney and her bridesmaids doing some choreographed dance they'd rehearsed. Mom was crying tears of joy. Dad was giving this long speech about his perfect daughter. Nobody noticed I'd left my assigned table. That became the pattern. Every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, I'd show up at my parents' house and within 30 minutes, I'd be washing dishes while Courtney held court in the living room with Derek and their kids. Mom and Dad would be on the floor with the grandchildren, completely absorbed in their world. My parents never once visited me at Stanford. Not in 4 years. But they took 2 vacations with Courtney and Derek during that time, once to Hawaii, once to Napa Valley. The Facebook photos showed everyone laughing on beaches and at vineyards, glasses of wine raised, sunset backgrounds. I graduated in the top 10% of my class. My parents came to my Stanford graduation ceremony. They sat through the whole thing, took exactly 4 photos with me afterward, then left immediately to drive back for one of Courtney's kids' soccer games. We didn't even grab coffee. After graduation, I worked at a couple of tech companies in Seattle. The work was good, the pay was decent, but something inside me wanted more. I wanted to build something that was entirely mine. So at 27, I founded my first startup. It crashed and burned after 16 months. I burned through my savings, maxed out 3 credit cards, and had nothing to show for it except crushing debt and hard lessons. I called my parents, hoping for some encouragement or support. Dad answered, "Well, Morgan, I hate to say it, but entrepreneurship isn't for everyone. You're just not built for that kind of risk." Then Mom got on the line. "Your father's right. Look at Courtney, she's doing wonderfully at her marketing firm. Making vice president next month. Maybe you should ask her about finding something more stable." I said I had to go and hung up before my voice could crack. I moved into this cramped apartment with 2 roommates. My bedroom barely fit a twin bed. I worked at a desk made from a door balanced on cinder blocks. It was depressing as hell, but it was what I could afford. Then I landed a position at Next Gen Solutions, a mid-sized tech company. I was good at it. Really good. Within 3 years, I went from junior developer to team lead to director of engineering. I was finally making real money, finally proving I knew what I was doing. But that hunger to build something of my own never went away. So at 30, I quit. I took every dollar I'd saved and founded CyberGuard, a cybersecurity software company. After one failed startup, launching another seemed insane. My roommates thought I'd lost my mind completely. The first 8 months were brutal. I moved into an even smaller place to save money. I lived on ramen noodles and peanut butter sandwiches. I worked 18-hour days, 7 days a week. I'd fall asleep at my desk and wake up with keyboard imprints on my cheek. There were nights I lay awake staring at the ceiling, thinking I'd made the biggest mistake of my life. That my parents were right. That I wasn't cut out for this. 4 months in, I was almost out of money. I called Dad, hoping maybe this time would be different. "Dad, I need help. Just a small loan to keep things running for another couple months. I'll pay you back with interest." He sighed heavily into the phone. "Morgan, I warned you about this. Business isn't your thing. You should cut your losses and find a real job." Then his voice changed, got all proud and warm. "Courtney just got promoted to senior director. She's doing fantastic. No drama, no financial problems, just steady, smart work." I hung up without saying goodbye. I never asked them for anything again. But here's the thing about life. Sometimes timing, luck, and relentless work align in ways you can't predict. Sometimes your product hits the market at exactly the right moment. Sometimes you work just hard enough for just long enough that things start clicking into place. CyberGuard took off. I didn't tell anyone about the success. Not right away. I kept showing up to family dinners, letting my parents and Courtney think I was still struggling. They'd ask about work in that patronizing tone people use when they think you're failing. "How's the little tech thing going?" Mom would ask, already turning away to wipe something off one of the grandkids' faces. "It's going fine," I'd say. Courtney would pat my hand like I was a child. "It's great that you're still trying. Not everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur. There's no shame in that." I'd just smile and change the subject. Within 2 years of founding CyberGuard, the company had grown to 85 employees with offices in Seattle, Austin, and Boulder. We'd landed contracts with Fortune 500 companies, government agencies, major financial institutions. Our software was protecting millions of users worldwide. Last year, when I was 32, a massive tech corporation approached me about an acquisition. The negotiations took 5 months. I had lawyers, advisors, investment bankers, people in expensive suits talking about valuations and market share and growth trajectories. They bought CyberGuard for $340 million. I sat in that conference room after signing the papers and felt absolutely nothing at first. Just numb. Then I went back to my Seattle apartment, sat on my worn-out couch, and laughed until tears streamed down my face. I bought a penthouse in Seattle first. Nothing crazy. Just a beautiful place with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of Elliott Bay and the Olympic Mountains. Then I started looking at properties in Montana. I'd always loved Montana, the mountains, the endless sky, the silence. I found an estate about an hour outside of Bozeman. 7 bedrooms, a separate guest cottage, 60 acres of land with mountain views that made you forget the rest of the world existed. The price was $6 million. I bought it without hesitating. Then I spent another $1.3 million on renovations. I hired an interior designer, a landscape architect, contractors who specialized in luxury mountain homes. I wanted it perfect. I hired a property manager named David to oversee everything when I wasn't there. By October, the estate was finished. It was stunning, stone and timber and glass with massive windows framing the mountain views. The guest cottage had 4 bedrooms. The main house had a chef's kitchen with commercial-grade appliances, a library with built-in shelves, a home theater with reclining leather seats, and a gym that overlooked the valley. I walked through those empty rooms and thought about Thanksgiving. I imagined inviting my whole family to Montana, showing them what I'd built, finally sharing this success with them. I pictured my parents' faces when they saw the house. Maybe they'd finally be proud. Maybe everything would change. Then Mom's text came through. The one about keeping Thanksgiving small. Just Courtney's family. I sat on the deck of my Montana house, looking at the mountains turning gold in the afternoon light, and felt something shift deep inside me. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even hurt anymore. I was just done. I started making phone calls. First, I called Uncle Tim. "Hey, what are you doing for Thanksgiving?" "No plans," he said. "Your parents said they wanted to keep it small this year. Just immediate family, I guess." "Immediate family," I repeated slowly. "Right. Want to come to Montana instead? I just bought a place out here." "Montana? Yeah, that sounds amazing." I called Aunt Diane. Same story. My parents had told her they were keeping it small. I called my cousins, all of them. I called second cousins I'd grown up with. I called family friends who'd been at every Thanksgiving dinner throughout my childhood. Every single person said the same thing. My parents had uninvited them. Told them they were keeping it intimate, just close family. I called 27 people total. Every single one had been cut from the list. On the 28th call, I reached my mom's sister, Aunt Rebecca. She was more honest than the others. "Your parents didn't want us there because we don't measure up to Derek's family," she said bluntly. "They've got surgeons and investment bankers on his side. Your mom said something about wanting to impress them. Can you believe that? We're not good enough anymore." I thanked her and hung up. My parents had thrown out nearly 30 relatives because they weren't impressive enough for Courtney's in-laws. I sat there for a minute. Then I started texting. I invited everyone to Montana. Uncle Tim, Aunt Diane, Aunt Rebecca, all my cousins, family friends. I invited former employees from CyberGuard. I invited my 3 closest friends from Stanford who'd stood by me through everything. Almost everyone said yes. The guest list grew to 42 people. I bought first-class plane tickets for everyone flying in. I arranged car services from Bozeman Airport to the estate. I booked rooms at a luxury lodge 15 minutes away for people who couldn't fit in the main house and guest cottage. I hired a chef named Antonio who'd worked at a 3-Michelin-star restaurant in San Francisco. I hired a professional photographer to document everything. I ordered enough food to feed twice as many people, heritage turkeys, honey-glazed ham, every side dish imaginable. I went to each guest bedroom and placed personalized gifts. For Uncle Tim, who loved fly fishing, I got a premium rod and reel. For Aunt Diane, who collected vintage books, I found a first edition of her favorite novel. For my cousin's kids, I got toys and games. I worked with David for 3 weeks getting everything ready. The house had never looked better. Fresh flowers in every room. The kitchen stocked with everything Antonio needed. Guest rooms made up with luxury linens and thick robes. 3 days before Thanksgiving, I was reviewing the menu with Antonio when my phone rang. Courtney. I almost didn't answer. "Hey, Morgan," she said. "Just wanted to check in. What are you doing for Thanksgiving?" "I've got plans," I said. "Oh, with friends?" "With family," I said. There was a pause. "What family?" "The family that actually wanted to spend the holiday with me." I hung up. I turned my phone on silent and went back to planning. Thanksgiving morning started at dawn. I was up at 5:30 doing final checks. Antonio was already in the kitchen prepping. The photographer arrived at 7 to capture everything. Uncle Tim and his wife were the first to arrive at 9. They got out of the car service vehicle and just stood there staring. "Holy hell, Morgan, Uncle Tim said. This is yours. All mine, I said, hugging them both. Over the next 3 hours, everyone else arrived. People kept touching things like they couldn't believe it was real. The kids ran around screaming with joy. At 2 o'clock, I gathered everyone in the main dining room. We'd set up long tables that could seat 50 people. The tables were covered in food: turkeys, ham, stuffing, mashed potatoes, green bean casserole, cranberry sauce, rolls, pies. It looked like something from a magazine spread. I stood up with my glass. I just want to say thank you all for coming. This means more to me than you know. I wanted to spend today with people who actually want to be around me, and I'm so glad you're all here. Everyone raised their glasses. We were about to drink when I heard a car door outside. I looked out the window and saw a taxi pulling away. Walking up to the front door was my grandmother, Helen. I ran to the door. Grandma, what are you doing here? She hugged me tight. You think I was going to miss this? I told your parents I wasn't feeling well and couldn't make it. Then I bought a plane ticket online. Figured it out all by myself, too. The dinner was perfect. No tension, no awkward silences, no one being ignored. We ate and talked and laughed for hours. After dinner, we went around sharing what we were thankful for. Then Grandma Helen spoke up. I'm thankful for people who are brave enough to make their own path when the regular road isn't working. People who don't give up even when the people who should be supporting them aren't. People who build something beautiful and share it with others. She looked right at me. I had to look away because tears were starting to form. After dinner, people spread out around the property. The photographer took group photos, candid shots, pictures of the house and grounds. Everyone was posting on social media. I saw the posts popping up. Best Thanksgiving ever at Morgan's Montana estate. Who needs the suburbs when there's Montana? Grateful for family that shows up. Pictures of the house, the mountains, the tables overflowing with food, everyone smiling. I was sitting on the deck with Grandma Helen watching the sunset when my phone buzzed with a text from Courtney. Beautiful house. I didn't know you were so wealthy. Mom and Dad are in shock. I showed the text to Grandma. She laughed so hard she started coughing. Good, she said. Let them be shocked. Maybe it'll knock some sense into them. That night, after most people had gone to their rooms or the lodge, I sat in the living room with my closest friends. We had a fire going, glasses of wine, the kind of comfortable silence you only get with people who really know you. You did good, Morgan, my friend Natalie said. Really good. Thanks, I said. I just wish it didn't have to be like this. I wish my parents could have been here. They made their choice, Natalie said. You made yours. Yours was better. My phone started ringing. My parents. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again. And again. Finally, the next morning, after I'd had coffee and felt brave enough, I answered. Morgan. Mom's voice was high and strained. What is going on? Why are there Facebook photos of you at some mansion in Montana with your grandmother? We thought she was sick. She was sick of your Thanksgiving plans, I said. So she came to mine. Your Thanksgiving? What are you talking about? You said you wanted to keep it small. Just Courtney's family. So I invited everyone else you uninvited. Uncle Tim, Aunt Diane, all the cousins. About 42 people total. We had an incredible time. Silence on the other end. Where did you get the money for a house like that? Mom finally asked. I sold my company last year, I said. For $340 million. More silence. Then a sound like Mom had dropped the phone. I heard Dad's voice in the background asking what was wrong. Then Mom's voice, almost screaming, $340 million. Why didn't you tell us? Mom demanded. I tried to tell you, I said calmly. Last Christmas. You were busy with Courtney's daughter and didn't hear me. Dad got on the phone. His voice was sharp. Are you trying to embarrass us by dragging the whole family out to Montana? I'm not trying to embarrass anyone, I said. When Mom wrote that I wasn't wanted, I made other plans. That's all. You made us look bad, he said. I didn't make you do anything. You uninvited 27 people because they weren't good enough for Derek's family. I just invited them to my house instead. I heard Courtney's voice in the background. Then she was on the phone. Morgan, do you know what this looks like? Everyone's posting pictures. Our Thanksgiving looks pathetic compared to yours. That's not my problem, I said. Then I heard Grandma Helen's voice. She'd walked into the room. Put them on speaker. I hit the speaker button. Mom, Dad said. You're there? Of course I'm here, Grandma said. Where else would I be? You've all taken Morgan for granted for too long. Always putting her second after Courtney. That's why I'm here in Montana instead of Ohio. Morgan built something extraordinary through her own hard work, and you should be proud of her, not jealous. We're not jealous, Mom said weakly. Yes, you are, Grandma said. And you're embarrassed that everyone saw what you did. Morgan didn't do this to hurt you. She did this because she wanted to spend the holiday with people who actually care about her. Now you need to think about that. Grandma walked out of the room. I stood there holding the phone. We'll talk later, Dad said and hung up. The relatives stayed through the weekend. We hiked, played games, watched movies in the home theater. Grandma Helen held court like a queen, dispensing advice and hugs to everyone who came to her. On Sunday, people started leaving. By Monday evening, it was just me and Grandma in the big house. We sat by the fireplace drinking tea. You did the right thing, she said. I don't know, I said. Maybe I was being petty. You were being honest. There's a difference. Grandma stayed another week. We went into Bozeman, visited galleries, ate at great restaurants. It was the most time I'd spent with her in years. When she left, I put her on a first-class flight home. She hugged me at the airport. Make them work for it, she said. Don't let them back in easy. I won't, I promised. A few days later, my phone buzzed with a text from Courtney. I've always been jealous of you. You got to choose your own path. You failed and got back up. I've been on rails my whole life doing what Mom and Dad wanted. I'm sorry they didn't spend time with you because of me. I didn't realize how bad it was. I stared at the message for a long time before responding. Thanks for saying that. Then my parents started texting. Dad wrote first, Grandma was right. We were unfair to you. I'm proud of what you built. I'm proud of you. Mom's text came an hour later. The house looked beautiful in the photos. Can we come see it? I didn't answer right away. I thought about it for days. Finally, in early December, I texted back, come for Christmas. Just you, Dad, and Courtney. Small group. They agreed immediately. On December 23rd, Courtney and my parents arrived at the estate in a car service from the airport. They got out and stood there looking at the house the same way everyone else had. Dad's mouth was open. Morgan, this is incredible. I gave them a tour. They walked through slowly, touching things, looking out windows, not saying much. In my study, Dad stopped in front of a wall where I'd framed magazine covers. Forbes, TechCrunch, Business Insider, articles about CyberGuard, about me. Forbes 30 under 30, he read aloud. When was this? 3 years ago, I said. You never told us. I tried. There was always something with Courtney or the kids that was more important. He looked down. Over dinner that night, Mom put down her fork. We failed both of you. We put too much pressure on Courtney to be perfect. And we didn't give you the attention and recognition you deserved. Morgan, I'm sorry. Dad cleared his throat. I think we need to start over. All of us. Try to forget the old hurts and learn to trust each other again. Can we do that? I looked at them. Mom looked older than I remembered. Dad had more gray hair. Courtney looked exhausted. We can try, I said. But I was scared. Scared they only wanted to make peace because of my money. But they didn't ask for money. Not once during the whole visit. The next few days were quiet. We went for walks on the snow-covered trails. We played board games by the fireplace. We watched Christmas movies in the home theater. It felt strange, but not bad. On Christmas morning, my parents gave me books by my favorite authors. Real books I'd actually want to read. Mom also gave me 2 pieces of art for the house, paintings from a local Montana artist she'd researched. Courtney gave me a custom painting of the Seattle skyline from an artist she'd commissioned. I remember you said you loved the view from your apartment, she said. They were thoughtful gifts. Not the generic candles and gift cards they used to give me. At dinner, Mom stood up with her glass. To new beginnings. To Morgan, who had the courage to create her own path and invite us to walk it with her. Dad hugged me after dinner. I'm proud of you. Not just the house, the life you built. All of it. 2 days after Christmas, they left. The goodbye at the door was warmer than any goodbye we'd ever had. I stood on the porch watching their car drive away. I didn't know if we'd ever be truly close, but at least we'd taken the first step. Now I talk to Grandma Helen twice a week. I text with Courtney every few days. My parents call once a week to check in. It's not perfect, but it's better. And for now, that's enough.